So looks like we're starting with Irvin with Kmart.
Kmart is still around. I did not realize that. I thought they were finally dead.
Same.
They closed a lot of stores, right?
They did, and I just thought they were gone like Blockbuster. Blockbuster
Sears
still has a store, by the way.
Isn't Sears gone?
That's
Sears,
what I thought.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they got hit with ransomware.
They only have
34 stores.
There's only 34 total stores remaining. That's like
Talk about trying to get blood from a turnip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, where are these Kmarts?
Who knows?
And the URL is 88shares.com. That's the real URL. That's not a phishing site.
I was shocked when a friend told me here in California, she was like, oh yeah, I went to JCPenney's to get some clothes for work. And I was like, what? They still exist? I thought they were gone too.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's probably Amazon that killed them all.
Yeah, I think it was Amazon.
Yeah. But anyway, now they're going to ransomware the port. It's sort of like our academic battles. It's like the last rats fighting over the last crumb in the bin they're trapped in.
As the boat is sinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Oh, this magical bug. This was awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So Apple iPhones have some really cool features that act like magic, like the airdrop feature, where if you just know someone is around, it can use these mesh networking activities to grab onto other routers. Well, it turns out that there's a buffer overflow issue with the way that Apple implemented this mesh routing, or mesh networking, I'm sorry. And if you just walk by other iPhones, it is possible to corrupt the memory and start executing your own code on them.
Nice.
And then they patched it before you could play with it, because this sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
But nobody updates their iOS. I don't either. Updating iOS sucks. Nobody.
Yeah, no, this is one of the first times that I got the message like your iOS needs to be updated, and I knew about this bug, and I was like, okay, I got to delete some applications to make space for this. I was like, I got to upgrade. Like, this is bad.
Yeah. Well, it would be fun to play with. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, all right, and then so I thought this is an important summary right here of the situation.
Good news. I like it.
This is where we are, right? We're worried about the vaccine, but the climate is killing us, like unbelievable. Like, every single year is another record for temperature, just like every week is another record for COVID. And we're doing absolutely nothing about it. So anyway, that's all going to change. And Bill Gates has a plan for climate change. And Biden has announced this vigorous plan for climate change, and all these companies have said they're on board with it. That's why, I thought it was kind of funny when Trump tried to do something so the oil company so people could burn more coal or something. The energy companies said, dude, we want green fuel. The oil companies do. Everybody has figured this out. Just like you were saying, the Saudis have figured out. Even the big companies don't want to keep burning fossil fuels. They know it's over. So anyway, hopefully we'll have some good stuff happen. We'll certainly get back in the Paris Accord anyway, but it'll depend on what happens in Georgia. But anyway, it is important to remember that, we focus on the virus, but the virus is really just a small problem, really. The big problem is climate change. And I've heard all the responsible people I know have said, this is the huge thing. This is the number one thing to worry about. This is like back when I was a kid in the 70s, it was nuclear war. This is the thing that's really going to kill us all. Everything else you worry about is really just rearranging your deck chairs on the Titanic until you deal with this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think climate change is as much of a threat to our existence as thermonuclear, global thermonuclear warfare.
Well, I think it's a much bigger threat now.
I mean, it'll push climate change.
But see, we resolved the global thermonuclear war pretty much. That's really not, in the 70s, it really looked like that was really going to happen. And then we kind of backed down. Now I don't think thermonuclear war is likely to happen. So the climate change is the one that is most likely to hurt us, I think.
Right. I mean, but it's important to always remain very factual when talking about climate change, because we want to really put the facts out there, let people know that this is very serious,
Yeah.
you know, and what's going to happen, you know, like, because I think there's a lot of misinformation, purposeful misinformation about climate change, you know, and so you don't want to be like, oh, it's going to be like thermonuclear global annihilation. No, it's not going to be like that. But we are going to have to deal with famines, rising sea waters, the fact that we built our entire infrastructure around places where it's wet or where we can grow crops, and we'll have to grow crops elsewhere. And so we're going to have these like island desert cities that really can't support themselves anymore. I mean, it's going to be a big problem.
Yep.
Not to mention Venice is, I don't know what they're going to do about Venice, but you know, it's going to be a big problem. A lot of people are going to be displaced, but it's not going to be the end of the world. But we really need to tackle this because it's going to be bad.
Yeah, not enough fresh water, not
Yep.
enough places to grow crops, a whole lot of problems. We really need to, you know, the people that are crying, screaming bloody murder like AOC are not wrong.
They're
We
not
really
wrong.
need
No,
to focus on fixing this quickly.
absolutely.
Anyway, so the cops want your video. Well, of course they do.
Yeah. So welcome to the 21st century digital panopticon.
Yeah, that's a
they-
good picture.
It is. It really is. It's a little too on the nose, really. And it's we already knew about the Ring cameras, but now they have contracted with this company to essentially create a dashboard and / conduit of all types of different security and surveillance cameras to feed directly to the police station, which, what could go wrong?
With people's permission, are people agreeing to this?
For now. But it's
They
insane.
build networks. Okay, they're police. They're not owned by random people. They're owned by the police, apparently.
No, some of them are owned by random people. So like if you have from your house or your business or whatever. So you send in, you essentially sign up to join this program, which they're actively soliciting people to do. And then those feeds get put into the conduit that the police can access. And it's kind of crazy because they also have their own cameras that they'll put out there. And you know, it's kind of messed up because they say like, oh well, we're strapped for money, our budgets are down, so we need technology like this so we can fight crime and blah blah blah. But this stuff isn't cheap. It's not cheap at all. They're spending kind of obscene amounts of money on this sort of technology, where public money on this sort of technology, where we also are really unclear on what's happening with that data on the back end. And again, I say, what could go wrong here? Because you've got these private companies running these services like this that they're selling and building and improving using taxpayer money. And then there's really no oversight at all as to what's happening with those feeds, what's happening to the data that's collected, how it's transferred, how it's stored, who can access that data, how it's secured. So
Yep.
yeah.
And probably when they go to court, they're going to have issues of whether this stuff is really legal.
Yeah, like you know, it's kind of disturbing because, you know, there isn't a lot of right now. There is not a lot of precedent for rendering video footage inadmissible, especially from security camera footage. So this is going to fall under that heading most likely. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but this is most likely going to fall under that heading. And I think that it's going to be an uphill battle to disregard evidence that's collected in this fashion. And you know, the other The other big issue that I'm seeing here is that you give the police this permission to access your camera feed, right? Well, we're right now our first big CFAA case is being heard before the Supreme Court which involves a police officer that accessed a license plate database, accessed a DMV database, which he was authorized to access that as part of his job, but he accessed it in exchange for money that he was going to get from somebody to look up a person to see if they were an undercover cop. So, I mean, we have clear precedent that these systems are regularly accessed for purposes outside of official police duties and unethical purposes. So it seems like we're opening the barn doors here to a lot more of that.
Yeah, it's always been my position that I love the idea of having cameras everywhere, just recording. That way, if you need to go back and something happens, you can go through the footage. But I am totally against surveillance, which is, the act of going in and monitoring for the sake of monitoring, all the time, kind of sort of thing. And I don't know how you can resolve the two issues. Like, how can you, on the one hand, have these like a car dash cam or a Ring doorbell, and have that always running, and then if there's a crime that happens outside your house, be able to give that to the cops without it being abused in some way. And I don't know.
Well, in a way, we've already got it that everybody has a cell phone, and if anything bad happens, they take those videos. So, and that seems to mostly be a force for good. I mean, I think as long as somebody owns it, and they have decision whether to make it public or not, that seems to work out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know it brings a whole lot of things out, like Black Lives Matter. I mean, the black people are saying we're just getting abused by the cops, and everybody said, "Oh, you're just making it up." Until we had cell phones everywhere and we could see the videos, that really helped.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, everyone talks about all these cameras everywhere as being a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I totally get that surveillance is bad. And, I don't want that either, but just passively recording so that if something happens, you can go back and see what happened. I think that's a really awesome tool, but you just can't give people 24 access to all these cameras everywhere because they'll just get abused.
It's something like the evil of corporations and establishments. Somehow when an authority figure has a database, it will end up being used for something bad, whereas individuals have it, they just live at a smaller scale, where good and evil are easier for them to understand, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how we ended up with the Fourth Amendment. Anyway, so Cyber 2, what is Cyber 2?
So this is for our viewers.
Okay.
Yes, this is for our viewers who want to get into cyber but don't know how or don't know where to start. This is a great way to get started. This is the second year that Try Hack Me is doing this a challenge every day for the month of December.
And they're free?
They are free.
I remember looking at this and it looked really good, like the kind of stuff you'd see in our 123 class, simple common attacks.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Simple common attacks that you can follow along and learn about 31 different subjects.
I did a few of these already. And this is the first time I signed up with Try Hack Me. And the way it works is that instead of having to sign in with a Kali VM that you control, they'll actually give you a window in your browser of their own Kali VM.
Yeah,
which is really nice. So it's really beginner friendly. You can do these tasks really, really simple, which is great if you're a professional and you can get through these really fast. It actually does make a really good advent calendar, cybersecurity advent calendar. And yeah, no, I'm enjoying it, but it is, very, very beginner friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it might be really good for my classes and stuff because Google just seems to have ended their free trial of their machines. They've started charging students who signed up for those free trial of cloud machines. So some other source of cloud machines to use is a good thing to find.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cloud machines that they give you, I think they have a time limit if it's a free account, and also it doesn't connect to the web at large. It's just for these challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it might be a good thing to do.
It is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a little bit annoying because some of the tools that I like, if you don't have internet access, you can't download them or anything. So
True.
Yeah, that's the same with all our NetLab projects. No internet, which really limits you.
yeah.
But again, this is geared to our beginner folks who don't know many tools. So for them, it kind of works out. For us who are used to certain tools, we're kind of like,
Yeah,
that's really
but you know, we could actually pay a few bucks and rent a real machine.
true. True.
Yeah. Anyway, so obfuscation as a service.
Right. So here's why you don't pay ransomware people. This is becoming a big business. And now there are services being propped up where you can pay to have your malware obfuscated.
Well, there's a bunch of obfuscators already.
Right. But this is like an obfuscation as a service platform where malware manufacturers, criminals, are going to get their software obfuscated constantly with like the newest stuff all the time.
Oh.
And like each time it gets obfuscated into a new format, and this service is constantly being updated to evade AV. So it takes a lot of the work out of these scammers, and it's becoming an industry.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't pay. It's like, yeah, sure, one time you think it doesn't really matter, but when a lot of people do it, it becomes an industry, and it spurs on this community of criminals.
There was a guy that actually went to prison a year or so ago for running basically a virus total site for bad guys that would test your stuff against all the virus engines and secretly and let you know when you had made something that couldn't be detected.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Neat. And so here's one very much like that other privacy one. I thought, what kind of surprised me is there's this thing called Muslim Pro, which helps you plan around the Muslim holy days, and a bunch of people used it. And so the government wanted it, and they just bought the data. They were just selling the data to people like advertising, which apparently is extremely common. Every company you use, they gather your data and then they just sell it. And somewhere in the terms of service, it says we might resell the data to advertisers or something. So they just sold it to the cops, who then use it to spy on you and stuff. It's another channel for them to get that data that sort of blew my mind.
Wait,
Wow.
why do they care about like a bunch of praying Muslims?
Oh, I imagine they assume that they're all terrorists or something. That came up many, many times in many countries. They would like watch them all go into mosques and take photographs of them, assuming that they're plotting evil in there. So they sold to the U.S. military and defense contractors, brought the data from Muslim Pro, and I don't think they tell us what they did with it, but the ACLU exposed this, and that would seem to be a violation of the Fourth Amendment or something right there.
Well, not only that. I mean, that's like insanely discriminatory. I mean, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they might be buying all the Christian data too, but I doubt it, but they could be. So you might not be able to prove that, but yes. I don't think they got to finding out what they're doing with it yet. But even purchasing it is probably illegal, and probably whatever they're doing with it is also illegal.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine. Yeah, no, this is wrong. This is
Ron Wyden, who does a lot of this. He's a real champion in this area, and now he started an investigation into finding out what they did with the data, which seems like, as you say, that's the next logical question. What were you doing with this data? So anyway, it's good to see people asking these questions and exposing these sort of dirty practices. So then TinyCheck, this looked pretty good, actually.
Oh, I am one Wi-Fi adapter away from testing this out.
Oh yeah.
It is made by Kaspersky. What it does is you connect your smartphone to the Pi, and then it goes online and it checks to see if your phone has been compromised, if it's sending out any IOCs or malicious communication.
Yeah, so it's basically burp, hardware burp.
Yes.
And see, this is something I did many times for my mobile device hacking class, and it turns out to be difficult to do. I'm probably gonna have to build one of these, because when you wanna see if data is sent securely, you really need to be in the middle. And the software proxies in the middle don't really work very well. And they keep changing the rules and different versions of Android and iOS and everything. So just a hardware device to absolutely catch the traffic in the middle is probably the way to go.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this does.
Yeah.
With the front end and back end already.
I don't remember it being that difficult to set up. I remember getting a bunch of although I remember when I did the live presentation of this in your class, Sam, it failed. So
yeah.
Okay, maybe you have a point. But when I set it up at home to do this, it just was a matter of IP table.
Yeah. This has happened to me so many times. You can set it up, but it's fragile. And when you try to use it, it doesn't work. And when I assign it for homework, it doesn't work on half the students' machines. The software versions are just real unstable and unpredictable and buggy. Just building it with a Raspberry Pi out of hardware would probably be much more reliable. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah, so I might be testing this out after I'm done with my other projects.
Oh yeah, it looks great. Yeah. Anyway, let's see, that was this one. So we're down to Google. Oh yeah, firing people for unionizing. I remember I heard of a few of these.
Yeah. So Google has been caught spying on their employees and then figuring out if they are trying to unionize, and if they are, they get the axe. And this is a problem because your employer should not be spying on you in your free time, one, and two, or even when you're working. I mean, your employer should not be like spying on your, what you're doing all the time. But also, firing workers for unionizing is mega evil corporate.
It's forbidden. I mean, that's totally illegal.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to punish people for unionizing, but it happens everywhere in tech. That's why there are no major tech unions, and there really need to be. Like we've all noticed, tech companies just expect you to work extra hours and travel and for no extra pay and get fired at random and stuff. We really need unions, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little different when you're working, in sort of the public sector, where what you're doing is essentially, public work, and you're doing a service for the public.
Yeah.
But if you're a private business, you can't just expect people to work, 12-hour days. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And they totally do.
They do. Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, they got to be paying overtime and giving you sick days and all that stuff. Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad. Again, it's good that all this dirt is coming out. Hopefully something will be done about it.
They also fired a manager this week for having the temerity to speak out about racist, who's on an AI development team.
I saw that.
Having the temerity to speak out about racist practices in AI.
Yeah, so they fired her. Yeah.
Yeah, but they somehow managed to keep that James Damore guy on.
Yeah.
After he said women shouldn't be in tech. I mean,
that was his thing. Like, women are too stupid to be in tech. That was his position, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't get fired right away. So
no. Yeah. Well, yeah. Google used to say "don't be evil," but they removed that like 10 years ago from the platform, and you can tell.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing when I read that article. I was like, this is the same Google that started off by saying, don't be evil. I mean, this is like textbook villainy 101.
Well, they got over that, Yeah. And this one I thought was great. So all the people who have conspiracy theories have decided that 5G is infecting your router. So they're selling you a $200 Faraday cage to put around your router to protect it from the 5G. And so people are buying this. And then in the reviews, they say, hey, the signal goes down. I can't connect anymore. What happened?
I saw that. Yeah, they were talking about this in the 2600 IRC channel. About this exact same thing. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
This reminds me of the Republicans in Georgia saying, well, don't vote because they're hacking the vote. And he said, wait, no, that's not what we wanted. Wait. I thought this was bloody awesome. They're actually selling this shit and people are buying it. And they're charging $200 for it. I mean, you could just, anyway, there were just so many things wrong with this.
Born every minute.
Yeah, we should 3D print stuff that will block 5G from your cell phone and your laptops and charge $100 $100 plus shipping, handling, and administrative fees, and people will buy.
you know, the thing we should do is sell like a $100 addition package that drills some holes in this to let the signal through to improve it.
Yeah, but you know, we could sell it on the premise that you only the right size holes let the signal the Wi-Fi signal out.
Well, but then you get busted. No, you just say, drill these holes, the signal will get better, you'll be happy. And just I'll be the reviews saying, yeah, it's a lot better now. This thing is great. Anyway,
oh man, that's awesome.
yeah, I know.
Faraday Defense. I would like to see what else that company's selling. That's hilarious.
I know.
So I think we skipped the middle one here for mine. So I've got two here. I think we went out of order there, but
could very well have.
This
so
one, the ACLU one, this is a different ACLU issue where they're having to sue the government over unauthorized access, and essentially in this case,
commercial brokers again.
Yep, and in this case it was it's ICE and Customs and Border Patrol and DHS buying location data, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't you know, of course in their of course they're saying like, oh yeah, it's all anonymous and we're not using it to track people and stuff, and it's like, you know, that excuse is pretty played out at this point, especially now that we've demonstrated over and over again how easy it is to de-anonymize data. Like, you know, we don't believe you. And also, like, if that's the case, like, why are you trying to hide what you're doing?
Yeah. And I think the issue here is that private companies can buy the data and use it, but the government can't because of the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And even then, it's a little disturbing that they're that private companies are allowed to just do whatever they want with this data.
But the point is, the private company can't arrest you and deport you the way the government can.
No, they just sell it to the people that can arrest you and deport you.
But at that point, it's illegal. Anyway. And then you got social media buttons. Yeah, what was the deal with this one?
Yeah, so this is just kind of a fun little dirty trick that's happening right now where these threat actors have essentially just leveraged steganography in order to hide skimmer inside those little badge icons.
Like these ones here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's working out. They're and essentially once the target clicks on one of those, they get hit with essentially Mage Cart analog.
Yeah, in a way, when I started including like Twitter things on my homepage, and earlier version I used to do /dot, it's an unsanitary thing to do. Right now, you're running a bunch of code that came from somebody else. It really is, you know, not that brilliant an idea from a viewpoint of security to have mixed content from many servers here, but everybody does it now. All your ads are served from other servers and everything.
Yeah, and I mean, they've found quite a few. Found quite a few stores infected with this. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. And was there? I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Any more comments?
Nope.
I'll stop this one if I can get my mouse to respond.